Hello, this is Kitegirl, Annabelle Drumm, and today I have with me Bruce Hopkins, who is an extremely talented performer himself from New Zealand. Hello, Bruce.
How do, Annabelle? I've sort of got a little stumbly there because the extremely talented. It was like, whoa, no pressure.
Modest as well. Now, you have a CV as long as my arm, probably as long as a Slender Man arm.
What that indicates, Annabelle, is that I'm old. Older.
Not necessarily. I don't think that's what it is. You really are very versatile. I just wondered, for people that are not familiar with you, can you just give a little bit of a background on your performing work?
I didn't come to it till late, actually. I hadn't even been in a theatre until I was 22 years old. And I was a commercial fisherman with my father. I was playing representative rugby here in New Zealand, and through a set of circumstances, I was travelling through Wellington at one point. I popped in to see an old friend from university. She was a dancer, and she was in a professional dance company, and I watched them rehearse for an hour or so during this particular day, and I was smitten. And so I set about becoming a professional dancer at the age of 22 from the rugby field, basically. And within 6 months, I had a job. For 8 years, I was a professional dancer in New Zealand, Australia. Limbs Dance Company here. Impulse Dance Company theatre was my first one, and then Human Veins Dance Theatre in Aussie. After about 3.5 years, I discovered I was about to be a father. Woo-hoo! With one of the other dancers in Limbs, and I switched to acting. Yeah. And I've been an actor for 26 years since. So and I started acting as a parent, and we had 3 children very rapidly. So I had to get out and earn money. I couldn't rely on acting. I was never core cast in our soap operas or anything like that. I was always a guest role. Mm-hmm. So I played a lot of different characters, really versatile, but it meant I was never earning any sort of significant income, basically, from acting. So I had to get out and find other jobs.
Right. Just before we continue on with how we've moved into what you're doing now, I just wanted to know about, moving from the rugby field into dance, and then becoming a parent and then starting acting after that. Everything is so much later than what many people think is possible to do.
Yeah.
Did you get flack from other people? Did they sort of, what do the rugby guys think of you moving into dance?
Well, it was pretty cool, actually. I got a buzz out of it over the years, because I just sort of disappeared. I just disappeared into the realms of theatre. And my old mates from my old sort of life had no idea what I was doing. But over the years, as we would be doing shows in Auckland in particular, some of them would come along to the shows, which is really cool. So, I had All Blacks coming to the shows, because some of the guys I played rugby with became All Blacks. And my family, they came to some of the dance shows. They'd never been to theatre before. So, wow. And they never gave me flack, because, when they came and saw a dance show, they appreciated that there was some real, high-level physicality going on.
Let's come back to what you had just said before. You were saying how becoming an actor but not being part of core cast in any particular show meant that you were kind of insecure, really, isn't it? It's just moving from one job to the next. So how did you pay for your family? How did you survive?
Literally going one job to the next. I used to do a bit of art department work within film. I had my own comedy duo at the time. I did radio work. Yes. So I would be flipping too much. I would get an acting job, so I'd disappear and go and do an acting job, and then I'd come back out, and there might not be immediate work in what I had been working in previously, the non-acting work.
It sounds very resourceful. I suppose it's fairly exhausting, isn't it? Going out and finding new stuff and having nothing to fall back on. And
what I found over the years as an actor, and this is one of the traps, is that you have a job and people sort of say, well, how much did you earn for that? And it sounds great. You're on a nice daily rate. Yeah. But if you're a character actor, you're not, you might be in a feature film. People think you had a lot of work, but you might have had 4 or 5 days work in that film.
Yes.
Because they're going to shoot all of your stuff in one lot. And then you get a little sum of money together, and it's cool, you come out of that. But if you don't work within the next couple of weeks, if you're not earning other income, even if it's back down to sort of labourers' wages in a sense, you're not having the finger in the dike, as it were, to stop the leak and so your bank balance just suddenly sinks really quickly.
Let's talk now the Action Actors Temp HR. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, that was based on the principle of what I was talking about needing to find those in-between acting jobs. There's this big pool of people in our societies, both in Australia and New Zealand, all around the world, most societies, especially where there are a lot of people who want to be actors. So there are a lot of people in that in-between zone, and they're doing hospitality, they're doing retail, they're doing all sorts of work. And wouldn't it be cool if there was an agency seeking temp work for actors, casual work for in-between acting jobs?
Brilliant.
And so that's what Action Actors is about. I started up that company.
Fantastic.
We now have 300 plus people, and it's growing. It continues to grow on our books here in New Zealand. And we've started the recruitment process in Australia. We fire out a job offer when an approach comes from an employer, and we'll sometimes help with the selection process from people who reply to that job offer, or other times, if it's for multiple people, it'll just be first in, first served.
What kind of jobs is it that the agency is going to be probably doing? I mean, you can't always know exactly what it is that'll come in.
We've already had a real range of stuff, but what we're realizing is that actors, as a subset in society, they have a unique set of skills. One of the biggest fears is standing up in front of people and speaking, and so that communications and customer service, but also we're starting to get into role play, corporate role play for management training and that sort of thing. And, actors are just superb at that. A number of male actors, they do a bit of landscaping, gardening, labouring, because they can get casual work in that industry. Right. But as I say, retail, we have a number of people on our books who they know how to use FPOS machines, they know the technology of retail, and they know how to be nice to customers. They know how to turn on the charm.
Fantastic. So that's a very broad range of skills then, not just performing, but all the other skills that actors have built through their day jobs, like landscaping and administration, like you're saying. Yeah,
we don't just take on people who say, I've done a bit of acting, amateur dramatic stuff, or I'm really keen on acting and I want to be on your books for that sort of work. We will only take people onto our books who have done acting on a professional level or are training at a tertiary level to be an actor.
Great. For people that are in different countries away from Australia and New Zealand, looking for this kind of agency would probably be a really great thing to do, because rather than taking on a sort of a full-time day job, which just sucks all your energy out of your auditions and means that you're going to miss a lot of auditions if you're stuck in that kind of thing. Looking for this sort of work is probably a really great idea. Do you have any tips for them when they're looking at agencies and companies that offer temping work that would be the most suitable for actors?
I think it pays to be with a number, like a number of agencies. So spread yourself out a little bit. When you join Action Actors, there's no exclusivity. We say, you can belong to as many temp agencies as you want. Have a look around at the different agencies and go into the websites. It's like any sort of business. Do a bit of due diligence before you sign up. If you're looking at an agency, go in and have a look at get them to send a contract and then look at the contract or see if they have a contract. Some agencies you can just sign up, but like with our agency, with Action Actors, you do not need to sign a contract. It doesn't hold you exclusive to us or anything, but what it does say is that when you take on a job that has been offered through our agency, you commit to doing that job to the best of your abilities. Absolutely. And you understand that you should take that job on the understanding that you have experience at that kind of work. A lot of this work is last minute, and if you take on a job, we need to know you are going to front. Because if you don't front, that's the reputation of the company.
That's necessary for acting jobs anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
To prove that you're reliable, that you keep your word, you do everything to the best of your ability. That's what being a professional is about.
Yeah.
What you're doing is wonderful. And if I look at all the so many agencies around, that when you get somebody who's a true performer like you, that's starting an agency, that you've got the right the right passion behind it, the purpose behind it is good, right? Whereas sometimes you'll get people that are just in it to make money, and they're not necessarily there to look after their artists and to look after their actors. So I think that's wonderful, and also it's helping people understand that actors can have a reputation for being very professional and reliable, not necessarily flippant, woo, away with the fairies kind of people. Yeah. Just because you're creative doesn't necessarily mean you can't be professional. So I think you're really going to be helping a lot with that viewpoint. So how is it that people can get hold of you and join your agency if they're in Australia or New Zealand?
For Australia, you can go to actionactors.com.au, and in New Zealand it's actionactors.co.nz. And in Australia at the moment it's still recruitment phase. We need to know your non-acting work experience
as well, so they can get their performing work through you as well as the day job. Not performing work.
Yeah,
no. Okay.
we don't.
But the role play kind of stuff, that's sort of performing, isn't it? And promotional stuff and improv needs their performing skills. Thank you so much for talking to us again today, Bruce.
Cool.
Wonderful.
And thank you, Annabelle, for offering me this opportunity. It's a really cool thing that you're doing with your service here.
You're very welcome. Yeah, I really want to sort of help performers get into the business side of show business, but also to see all this kind of area like what you're doing, is that there is so much more to building the career, and a lot of that is to do with the support underneath it, which will keep you afloat and not bust.
There are a lot of angles within the industry too. I'm going to speak at one of the tertiary training institutions here, South Seas School, next month. I think they get me in each year to come and have a talk to the graduating students, and it's quite interesting how sometimes how little they know about what other angles there are in the industry. The voice work that's available out there, and how to try and target that.
Well, I think that's where you're a really great expert, is that you've been able to find such a broad scope of work over the years, and to be able to show that not just to the young ones that are just graduating, but also people in their 20s and 30s that have been struggling with a day job, trying to get their performing career up and running, to understand that there is so many more places to look for work. I think that's a really precious thing that you can offer, and I think it's really great that you are offering it. And I hope you guys, if you're not in Australia or New Zealand, that you can also have a look around and find something similar. Keep looking for it, because even if it's not there at the moment, then it may be in the process of being built as well. Thank you so much, Bruce, for talking to us, and I'll just pop the link back up again for the end of the video. Thanks again.
Cheers.